Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, which name is Analytics Pro. Here under this playlist guys, we are going to cover only SQL concepts from scratch. In the previous tutorial guys, we have finished CTE, which was Common Table Expressions. And now in today's tutorial guys, we will talk about another concept of SQL, which name is what are keys. So let's firstly understand the definition of keys in SQL. A key is an attribute or set of attributes that uniquely identify any record or tuple from the table. Here tuple means records, and the purpose of the key is guys is used to uniquely identify any record or row or data from the table. It is also used to establish and identify relationship between tables. So let's understand this thing with practical. So here we have this Excel file guys. Here we can see we have taken few columns like employee IDs, employee names, country, email IDs, Aadhaar number, phone number and department ID. So guys, if I talk about you need to fetch a record of Andrea. So here under this example guys, we can see we have multiple Andrea. So the question is that which Andrea you want to find it here. So these are the records. So what we need to do guys, we need to uniquely identify with any of the key. So here I can say I need to fetch only those records of Andrea whose employee ID is E02. So here employee ID is a key which is uniquely identify this Andrea with this employee ID. So that's why it is called it is uniquely identify any record or tuple from the table. So I hope you guys are clear with this definition of keys. And now guys, let's understand the types of keys. So there are 6 types of keys in DBMS. So our first key name is super key. So firstly guys, let's understand this definition. After that, we will also study with practical. So a super key is a combination of all the possible attributes that can uniquely identify the rows or tuple in the given relation. Super key is a superset of candidate key. So guys, what is candidate key? We will discuss here under this tutorial. And now let's understand the next point. A table can have many super keys. A super key may have additional attributes that are not needed for unique identity. So guys, let's go back to the Excel again to understand this super key. So guys, as we have studied in the definition, super key is a combination of all possible attributes that can uniquely identify the row. So what could be the super key here guys? So this employee ID column guys, you can consider as super key because all the records are uniquely identified. But if I talk about this employee names, so this key you can't consider as super key because we have multiple values are repeated here under this employee's name. In a similar way, you can't consider this country column as super key. So what could be the possible attributes here guys? This employee ID is a super key. Similar way, this email ID you can also consider a super key because all the email IDs are unique. Similar way, this Aadhaar card or SSN number you can also consider as super key. And last but not the least, here under this data set guys, this phone number you can also consider as super key because these phone number are also uniquely identified. So the possible combinations are employee ID, email ID, Aadhaar number and phone number. And now let me scroll down. So here we guys can see these are the 4 possible combination which are uniquely identified here under this data set. But that doesn't mean guys you can't create more super keys. So with the help of concat function guys, or you can say merge column, you can also create more super keys which is uniquely identified. If you want to merge this employee ID with Aadhaar number, this type of record you can say it's a super key. Similar way guys, you can concat more columns and create another super key which is uniquely identified like Aadhaar number and email ID. Similar way, employee ID and email ID. And we have other possible combinations guys like employee ID and phone number. So in this way, you can create more and more super keys. So here we have taken more examples. You can also combine employee ID with Aadhaar with email ID. And that column become a super key, or you can say uniquely identify records. Similar way, you can also merge employee ID with name, employee ID, names, department ID. So you can combine multiple columns as well to create super key, or you can say uniquely identified record. And now let me explain one more point of super key. So this point says guys, a super key may have additional attribute. that are not needed for unique identity. What does it mean? So let me explain this point with example. So if I talk about this employee ID column guys, so this is a minimal super key. That means there is no redundancy to create a super key. Similar way, you can take any of the column. So these columns are a unique key. There is no redundancy here. But if you concate with any other column to create a super key, so it create redundancy. Because if you only take this employee ID, so you don't need to take Aadhaar number or SSN number. Because employee ID is only a primary key. You don't need to take any unnecessary columns to create uniquely identify column. So we don't require any Aadhaar or SSN number. Similar way, if you take this example, here we have combined employee ID and email ID. So this email ID is unnecessary here. It's create a redundancy. So you don't need to take any redundant data. So I hope you guys are clear with this super key concept. So every primary key is a super key, but not every super key is a primary key. Super key can have redundant attributes, but primary key cannot have any redundant attributes. I hope you guys are clear with this point. So there could be a more possible combination guys here under this subset. So you can create according to your requirement. And now guys, let's talk about the next key. So our next key is candidate key. So firstly, let's understand the definition. A candidate key is an attribute or set of attribute which can uniquely identify a tuple. Here tuple means records. A candidate key is a minimal of super key or a super key with no redundant attributes. It is a minimal of super key. I will explain this point later. And it is called a minimal super key because we select candidate key from a set of super key such that selected candidate key is the minimum attribute required to uniquely identify the table. So basically guys, candidate key is derived from the super key. And the last point says candidate keys are defined a distinct set of attributes from which primary key can be selected. Candidates key are not allowed to have null values. And now guys, let's understand how we can fetch candidate key from super keys, which should be uniquely identified. And now guys, let's jump into the Excel to understand the candidate key. So guys, here are the possible combination of super keys. And now let's understand what could be the candidate key from these super keys. So guys, this employee ID is a uniquely identified column. So this can be considered as candidate key here from these super keys. Similar way, email ID, Aadhaar number and phone number. These four you can consider as candidate key which are uniquely identified record. And now guys, let's understand one more and important point. So guys, if I talk about this record, if I combine employee ID with Aadhaar number, so we can't take it as candidate key because employee ID is uniquely identified which we have already considered candidate key. In a similar way, Aadhaar number is also uniquely identified which we have also considered as candidate key. So we do not repeat guys any of the value to take candidate key. In a similar way, here you can see Aadhaar and email ID which we have already taken here. So we can't repeat the combination to create candidate key. So these possible combination guys, we can't take it as candidate key because we have already taken here as a unique record which we will not repeat. I hope you guys are clear with this candidate key. So that's why it is called candidate key is a minimal of super key with no redundant attributes. So if you identified any column as a unique record, so that key should not be repeated with next attributes. So here we have four candidates key which are uniquely identified like employee ID, email ID, Aadhaar number and phone numbers. And in these keys guys like employee ID, email ID, Aadhaar and phone number, we need to identify a primary key because one key we need to consider as primary key. So as per your requirement guys, you can choose any of the key as a primary key. So the best approach here is that I need to consider this employee ID as a primary key. So let's understand what is primary key. Although I have already explained in initial of the tutorials where I have explained the constant of primary key and foreign key. But this is the keys class in SQL guys. So let's understand what is the definition of primary keys. So here we can see the definition of primary key. A primary key is one of the candidate key chosen by database designer to uniquely identify the tuple in the relation. So basically guys, there are a lot of candidates key in single table and we need to identify one primary key among that. So the primary key value can never be a null. The value of primary key must always be unique, not duplicate. The values of primary key can never be changed. That is, no updation is possible. The value of primary key must be assigned when inserting a record. A relation is allowed to have only one primary key. So you guys are already aware about this primary key concept. So here guys, you can consider any of the key as a primary key. So this time I am taking this employee ID as a primary key. I hope you guys are clear with this primary key. And now guys, let's talk about the next key in SQL. So the next key is alternate key. Out of all the candidates key, only one gets selected as a primary key. Remaining key are known as alternate keys. So as I already said guys, here I have selected employee ID is the best suited for primary key and the rest attributes like Aadhaar number, email ID, phone number is considered as alternate key. So I hope you guys are clear with the concept of alternate keys. And now guys, let's talk about the next key. So our next key is foreign key. Foreign key guys is the reference of primary key of the table. That means in one table, one column is a primary key and in another table, the same column is a foreign key. That means both the table are referenced on the basis of same column, which you can connect primary to foreign key combination. So let's understand some points. Foreign key can take only those values which are present in the primary key on the reference of relation. This concept guys I have already explained in Power BI as well in the data modeling part, primary to foreign key combination. So if you want to take detailed knowledge about this foreign key concept, so you can watch tutorial number 11th here under this playlist, which is Power BI with SQL. Here I have explained foreign key is a concept of referential integrity. And now let's discuss other points. Foreign key may have name other than that of primary key. Foreign key can take the null values. There is no restriction on a foreign key to be unique. Basically guys, the value should be in the repetition. It's not mandatory to take all the value should be unique. In fact, foreign key is not unique most of the time. Referenced relation may also be called as master table or primary table. Referencing relation may also be called as the foreign table. A key used to link two tables together and attributes a set of attributes in one table that refers to the primary key in another table. And this point guys I have already explained. In one table a same column is a primary key, in another table the same column is a foreign key so that we can fetch the data from different tables. And the purpose of the foreign key is to ensure maintain referential integrity of the data. And this point I have explained in tutorial number 11. So please go and watch that tutorial. And now let's talk about last key in SQL, which name is composite key. So a key that has more than one attribute is known as composite key. It is also known as compound key. We can't make any of the attribute as primary key, so we can merge two columns, make it primary key, and that is known as composite key. So this thing guys I have already explained in superset key. If we combine two columns and if it is uniquely identified that column, so that key become a composite key. So let's check with this example. Suppose guys we have another table which name is order table. So here we have customer ID column, order ID, product code and product count. So guys my question is that can we consider this as primary key or a uniquely identified record? So of course not, because this is a foreign key column. The values are in the repetition. So no value is unique here under this customer ID column. Similar way, if you take this order ID, so this is also a foreign key column and the product code and product count is also a foreign key. There is no uniquely identified record which is distinctly identified. Some values are in the repetition. If I talk about this C03 guys, so C03 has made order O01. Similar way, C03 also made an order of O03. So that means multiple customer made multiple orders. So the question is that how we can create a uniquely identified key here. So what you can do guys, you can merge any of the two column and create a unique key that is called composite key. So this thing guys I have explained here under this example. Suppose if I take customer ID and order ID together, so this key become composite key. which should be uniquely identified here under this table. Similar way, I can make more possible combination. So here I have merged customer ID with product code to create a unique key. So this is known as composite key. So I hope you guys are clear with concept of keys in SQL. So if you guys have any kind of doubt, so watch this video again and read the points carefully. So for such kind of detailed learning guys, stay connected with us and kindly support this channel. And those who are new to this channel, kindly hit the like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to press this bell icon guys, else you will miss an update. And those who wants to learn Power BI or SQL from scratch, so you guys can follow this free YouTube channel, which name is Analytics Pro. And if you scroll it down guys, so here you guys can see we have a full course Power BI playlist where I have explained each and every concept about Power BI in detail. And if you click here on this playlist button guys, so you guys will get to see multiple playlists are here. This is the Power BI full course playlist and these are the advanced concepts of Power BI where you guys can take the knowledge of advanced concepts of Power BI. And we have this Power BI with SQL playlist where you guys can learn all the concepts of SQL from scratch. So you guys can start your SQL journey with this free YouTube channel. And along with that guys, we have this visualization playlist and we have this DAX expression playlist where we have covered most of the DAX functions from scratch which are majorly used in your projects. And here under this playlist, I am also trying to cover all the differences of DAX functions which is majorly asked in an interviews. And very soon guys, I will add some more playlists so that you guys can take better understanding of the analytical skills. And for the job seekers guys, we have this free Telegram group where I'm keep posting latest Power BI jobs opening, as well as you will also find some latest interview question and answers which recently asked by an interviewer. So you don't need to pay anything to anyone. But those who are looking only live sessions, so we guys also conduct live training and sessions where we prepare candidates from scratch till intermediate level with some scenarios, real-time projects, assignments, notes and so on. And we also provide placement assistance with the help of WhatsApp group where you will get to see some HR emails, contact number and so on. And you guys can also follow us on Insta as well as Facebook. So all the links I will share under the description box. You guys can follow us there. So for free learners guys, you guys can follow this Analytics Pro, and for the live training and sessions, you guys can connect me any of the platform. Thank you so much guys for your more love and support. Keep learning and keep growing. Thank you so much.